Island, and it's always, every time I have a class, I'm just aware of everybody kind of tuning in from every part of the East Coast. So even if you're not battling a heat wave, it's still fairly hot out there. So with our yoga practice, with this specific one, but also with others, we balance out the heat of summer with a cooling and grounding practice. So today's focus is yoga for intuition and self-assurance. And I was actually talking with my mother the other day of how to word some of these yoga for emotional well-being classes, because I find I've been doing my own research, and maybe you've heard of some classes, yoga for anxiety and depression, yoga for loss and grief. And I see those words and I'm like, I mean, I feel that, but I feel that if I attended the class and people saw my name on there, they'd be like, oh, whoa, it's Lauren going through, or, you know, whatever it is. So I wanted to kind of bring up the positive aspect of what we're approaching this morning. So if this is yoga for intuition and self-assurance, but we're accessing and working with uncertainty and indecision. So if you've been feeling that lately, whether you're making small decisions or maybe you have a big decision coming up, maybe some of us are going back to teaching school, or maybe some of us are making a big life change. Maybe we're making a move or a job change. There's just a lot of things that can play into indecisiveness, and it tends to be a big issue for many of us. So the yoga practice can physically help us. It may be something like, well, how can yoga help me? This practice will be, like I said, a lot slower. So it's a yin practice. And what that does is allow us to go deeper into our true selves. So with the lack of self-assurance, if you have it, it's really associated with the loss of self-confidence, and that tends to come from around the area of our solar plexus. So we're trying not to have any judgment towards it, but we're looking to tap deeper into our inner voice, deeper into our intuition, because when we think of something, our intuition kicks in, but then once the intuition kicks in, the mind comes in right away. And that's where we get that, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? And we tend to have conversations with people, should I do this, should I do that? I am very much one of those people that reach out to anybody I can and say, what do you think? Should I do it? Should I not? Should I not? And then I lose sleep over it. And I found that doing some of these poses with yoga and just doing a slower form of yoga, like a meditation even, has helped me to come to a clear decision. And right away, I feel the intuition. I feel that inner voice impulse going, yes or no. And then before I even let the mind come in, I'm like, okay, that's it. That's the answer. So it's been a struggle for me. It's not like all of a sudden right away, but the yoga practice has helped. So that's why I'm here to share this with you today, and to hopefully allow yourself to find a little more inner peace and really set the intention to listen to your inner voice, even just with this hour of the practice this morning. So when you're ready, again, finding your comfortable seat. And if you'd like to at this moment, closing the eyes, or if you find that it's easier for you, you can keep your gaze focused on a point in front of you at half mast. And just at this moment, being aware of how you're feeling without any judgment. Maybe asking yourself the question of what brought you to the practice today. Was it the wording of the practice? Was it just that we haven't practiced in a while and we wanted to get back into our practice? Whatever it is, try not to have judgment as to why you came to your mat today. Just, again, maybe it was an impulse decision. I think I'm going to do yoga today. I'm going to set aside that time. Yes, I'm going to do it. And you made it. And just at this moment, trying to breathe slowly and deeply. Be aware of your surroundings, maybe the immediate sounds that you can label at the moment. And if you've been feeling fairly frantic, or the mind's been every which way, been having trouble focusing, this will be a very accessible practice and meant to bring out your inner voice and meant to slow you down. But if for some reason in the practice, maybe you're not feeling it and it's very challenging for you to sit in stillness, that's okay. Be aware of that. Maybe ask yourself in that moment, why can't I sit still? Is it the pose that's a little challenging and uncomfortable? Is it my mind that's just constantly going? Bring yourself back to your breath and your awareness and remind yourself of the intention that you're setting today. Yoga for intuition and self-assurance. Bringing some confidence back into your life and the decisions that you make. And as you're sitting here in your meditation, from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, indecision is a sign of a weak gallbladder. So whether you have a gallbladder or not, that energy is still there. And if you want to bring your attention to that area of the body, it sits on your right side of the body, just underneath your liver, or just above your liver, excuse me. And the liver, which forms a functional circuit with the gallbladder, stands for willingness to make the decision, while the gallbladder represents the courage to implement the decision. So both situated on the right side of your body. So maybe you're sending the breath there, or at this moment, maybe you're sending your right palm just underneath your rib cage on the right side. Breathing into these organs. Reminding yourself that it's not just about the physical, but the internal part of the practice that can be very beneficial for you. We'll focus on, in the meditation here, but also I'll remind you throughout the practice, 3 possible questions for reflection of uncertainty and indecision. Why am I worried about making decisions? What is the worst that could happen if I make the wrong decision? What do I have to do to be able to trust my inner voice again? Slowly begin to guide the hands to prayer in front of the heart center. And at this moment, bowing down to your heart, setting a personal intention for your practice. And then slowly allow the eyes to float open. On your inhale, reach the arms out and up above the head. On your exhale, twist to your right side. As you're twisting, being aware of any restrictions or tightness on the right side as you twist. And then on your next inhale, rise the arms out and up. And exhale, twisting to your left side. Inhale, rise the arms out and up. Exhale, release the right hand or fingertips down and tilt actively to your right side, all the while trying to keep your sits bones anchored and rooted into the earth. If your shoulder is restricted, take the hand to the lower back. You may be aware that as we come into our practice this morning, we're focusing a lot on the side body because this is where our indecisiveness and our clarity of decisions eventually will come from. Slowly come back up and release left hand or fingertips down, tilting actively to left side. And then slowly come back up to center and relax the arms and hands out and down. We'll begin with our first posture lying on the floor. So here, if you'd like to, you can take a towel or a blanket underneath the head, or you can lie flat down on your mat. When you do come to lie down, this is called lying down half moon in yin yoga. So when you come to lie down, the legs are straight and the arms come up and back beyond the head. And if you'd like to, you can just watch me before you come in or just listen to my voice. And first we'll be sending your right fingertips, just kind of like the index and the thumb, around the left wrist. And you're crossing your right ankle over your left. And you're going to make a C shape with the body. So the feet and the hands go to one side as you're kind of curling in the body. So you're opening up and stretching the left side of the body. So again, you can either cross the ankles or you can keep them lengthened. I find that it's kind of easier to hold me in if I cross left ankle over right. So again, when you're ready, coming on down, lengthening the arms up and back beyond the head, taking hold of the left wrist with the right fingertips, and then crossing left ankle over right, and then sending hands over to right side, as well as the ankles and feet, as you open and stretch your left side body. We'll be here for 2 minutes. I'll mind the time. Again, slow, deep breaths into left side body. If you find that the rise of the arms up and back beyond the head, if you find that you get any pins and needles as you're in the practice, please feel free to release the arms maybe out to the sides if that feels better for you. Make sure you're breathing. About 30 seconds. And slowly begin to make your way out. Coming back to center with the legs, the arms, just giving yourself a moment to notice the difference between right and left side. Shake out the arms and legs a little bit. When you're ready, switching it up. So as the arms go up and back beyond the head, now the left fingertips take hold of the right wrist, and your hands go over to your left side above the head. Right ankle crosses over left, and you make that C shape, or now backward C shape with the body, as you're opening up your right side body. So that's the area. Right side is what's open here. And again, yin yoga, just like with all yoga practices, is about sensation. So if you feel that maybe you're not feeling a lot with the posture right away, that's okay. If you'd like to explore a little deeper, maybe kind of send the wrists and ankles a little furthermore to your left side. But once you come out of the posture, that may be where you feel the most release and that deeper breath. So just know that at this moment you're doing something. Try to quiet the mind if you notice that it's still chattering a little bit or a lot of it, and breathe. Take one more deep breath and gently begin to make your way out. Stretch and move in any way that feels good. Whenever you're ready, rolling to your side to gently press yourself up to your seat. So next we're coming into butterfly, which is a forward fold. So what I like to do, this is just an option for you, is I have a rolled up towel or a blanket. I place it underneath my sits bone so my pelvis can comfortably tilt forward. And then the soles of the feet touch. So there's no right or wrong of how close to have the heels. You can have them a little further out in front. You can hug them in as close as you'd like. But again, as a reminder with yin yoga, it's not about alignment necessarily as we do with yang yoga. This is about the weight of the body, inviting you deeper into the sensation and deeper into the posture. So usually when we come into butterfly pose with yang, we lift up and we lengthen forward. You're welcome to do that, but with yin, the intention is to really let the upper body just kind of sink lower and lower within the 2 minutes. And the forehead kind of reaches a little maybe further towards the arches of the feet. So just be aware of your lower back, your spine. If something doesn't feel right, maybe you have to sit up a little taller, and that's okay. If coming to fold forward is not accessible at any point of the forward fold, you can usually have like a big bolster, or I'll have like a big pillow and rest my fists on that pillow so that I can really just let the head and neck relax so I'm not bending too much in the spine or flexing too much in the spine. So whatever feels right for you, I'll start the clock now for butterfly pose. You can rest the forearms to the inner edges of the knees. Let the head and neck hang. You can even rest the elbows on the shins if it feels comfortable. Make fists and let the forehead rest on the fists. Again, forward folds are meant to be a quieting, turning inward intention of yoga, which is why we tend to access forward folds in the yang practice towards the end of the practice. Let the jaw unclench. Relax the muscles of the face. Trying to breathe in and out through the nose with the lips closed, but if it's not accessible for you, breathe in any way that feels comfortable. And slowly begin to make your way out. Straighten out the legs for a moment. Get yourself situated, maybe hug yourself in for a moment. Again, we're focusing on turning inward, setting the intention to listen to our intuition and inner voice. The only way we can do that is by sitting in silence in meditation, or something like a yin yoga practice, which can be in meditation for you. So next we're coming into 90-90 position, or deer pose, if you're familiar. So it's similar to pigeon or sleeping swan, but both the legs are bent at 90 degrees. So we're starting with your right leg forward. So if you can at this moment, I kind of like to start from that kind of seated position. The right leg comes forward and you're trying to get the ankle in alignment with the knee. And then your back leg now is at 90 degrees. That's why they call it 90-90. Your back leg, your ankle's in alignment with the knee's kind of in alignment with the hip. So as you can tell, it's kind of that front version of pigeon pose without having the straight leg back. Now, if at any point, say maybe that left knee just isn't coming down, if you have a pillow or another blanket, let that be supported. That's what's great about yin yoga, is we have plenty of time to get ourselves supported and situated, whereas with the yang yoga practice, we're only in the pose for about 30 seconds, then we have to move out. And again, you can have 2 blankets under both knees or pillows. And we're going to be here for 2 minutes, and then after that 2 minutes, come into a rotation for a minute. So what I mean by that is you can sit up tall the whole time. You can explore maybe a pillow in front of you or staying up on the fingertips for a gentle hinge. And then as we come into a rotation, now we're working with the side body. So when I say at the minute mark, the 2-minute mark rotation, you start to walk your hands over to your right side for a deeper stretch in the left side body, or you can walk your hands over towards your left side. So it's kind of whatever rotation feels better for you. So I'll begin the clock now. Deer pose, again, you can either sit up tall, maybe for the first few moments, just to remind yourself that we're here for 2 minutes. So it's about the progression in the pose, about letting your body do what it does and letting the breath guide you in safely, closing the eyes. And trying to bring yourself to focus on this moment. Maybe on the reflection questions again. Why am I worried about making decisions? What is the worst that could happen if I make the wrong decision? What do I have to do to be able to trust my inner voice again? Now you're welcome to stay here. If you'd like to, you can start to thread in the rotation. Either the hands or fingertips walk over to your right side. Maybe you're there for a little while, and then maybe over to your left side, really just depending on your intuition, where the body wants to go. Listen to the body, listen to your inner voice. Make sure you're breathing. At any point, maybe you do hear some distracting noises, whether it's wherever you are at your home, or distracting noises from this part of the platform. Remind yourself that your Ujjayi breath can be very audible and focus on your breathing. And slowly begin to make your way out. Unwind the legs, shake them out a little bit. When you're ready, switching it up. This time, the left leg is forward at 90 degrees. And your right leg is back behind you, also at 90 degrees. Pillows or blankets underneath one knee or both knees. And then if you can, trying to shift the torso so it's facing towards the front of your mat. So you may notice that as you come in, the torso kind of automatically wants to jut to your right side. That's okay if you come to fold forward, but if you'd like to kind of feel a deeper sensation, try to work the torso forward. Begin the clock here. I'll mind the time as you come into deer pose on your left side. Close the eyes or focus your gaze on a point somewhere on your mat or beyond your mat. Breathe. Unclench the jaw. Slowly begin to explore rotation, either walking hands over to left side or right side. And gently begin to make your way out. Stretch and move in any way that feels good. Then when you're ready, we'll be coming into dragonfly with a side bend. So if you'd like to sit sideways on your mat, you're welcome to, or if you're on a carpet or cushioned grass, whatever you're using, and it feels okay to have the heels out to the side, that's fine as well. So I'm just going to face sideways. This is more conducive to video. So dragonfly is both of the legs out wide. And here right away, if you do feel tugging on the back of the knee and it feels a little strenuous for you, we don't want to feel any strain or pain. So you can take blankets or pillows underneath the knees to kind of prop yourself up a little more. You will need a blanket or a pillow underneath you though for the elbow. But again, you don't have to use any kind of prop. I just like to do it for the support, just only because my elbow, it'll just kind of force me and strain me to come all the way down. So I like to use something like a pillow, bolster, a blanket. I'm gonna roll this up a little bit just to kind of show you here. So the full expression of this pose is, we'll be starting on your right side. So your right elbow comes down and your right wrist is kind of holding your head up here. Now you can stay here the whole time where kind of maybe the left elbow bends and you maybe lightly grip the back of your waistband. So this really helps to keep you nice and open on the left side. Or if you'd like to go a little deeper, we're here for 2 minutes. You're welcome to explore maybe for the minute this way. And then for the other minute, the left arm comes up and kind of hangs out on the top of your head. So you're getting really a full open side stretch by keeping the elbow bent. And maybe the hand is behind the head or the hand can support the neck. Now, if neither of these feel good with both the legs out wide, since we're on the right side, you can bend into your left knee, a half dragonfly. Maybe that just feels more accessible for you. Take your time, get yourself in. I can't even reach to, I need this stretch clearly. I can't even reach to start the clock. And when you're ready, come on in, I'll mind the time. And again, as we talked about, as we're focusing on the emotional portion and the emotional well-being of yoga for this week, maybe being aware of, yes, how you feel physically in the posture, but maybe at this moment, what's going through your mind mentally, how you're feeling emotionally. Is the posture fairly uncomfortable for you? So maybe it brings up a feeling of frustration. Does the posture feel like it's something that you just need? So maybe it feels a sense of relief and almost kind of powering through it in a calm way. Does it feel relaxing? Does it feel awkward? Make sure you're breathing. And then slowly begin to make your way out. A few deep breaths. Bring your awareness to the side body, especially maybe that back left side of the body. When you're ready, switching it up onto your left side this time. Again, your elbow can be bent with the right elbow and you can grip the waistband or let the arm drape over your head. The right elbow kind of hangs, your right elbow points up and your hand just kind of hanging behind you. Make sure you're breathing. Try to invite in stillness. Notice if you have the urge to fidget, to move. And if you do and you can't help it, that's okay. It's all a practice. It's about progression. But maybe ask yourself why you had to move. Was it because you were uncomfortable and you wanted to find more comfort in the posture, which is absolutely okay. That's your decision. But maybe you make the decision to feel uncomfortable in the posture and see what comes up for you emotionally when you're feeling uncomfortable. Slowly begin to make your way out. If you'd like to at this moment, drawing the legs in together, stretch and move in any way that feels right. And remind yourself that the legs, they were wide for a good, total for switching over to the other side, maybe about 5 minutes. So just take a moment to hug them in, be aware of how you feel. And then when you're ready, we'll come to transition to a downward facing dog. Just take your time, rolling over onto hands and knees. If you'd like to, maybe before you come in, a few cat and cows, getting the spine even more warmed up. And when it comes to intuition, yes, we talk about from the TCM perspective, the gallbladder and the liver, but from a traditional yogic perspective, so yoga is an Indian practice, they believe that inversions can bring up some more intuition. So technically, downward facing dog is an inversion. So when you're ready, slowly access your downward facing dog. We'll be here for a minute. Take a few moments to pedal out the legs. If you tend to feel the need to come down onto hands and knees, maybe you're just getting a little lightheaded or dizziness, please feel free to do so. And then when you're ready, transition back up. 1 minute, downward facing dog. Maybe exploring some stillness. Explore the balance of weight between the hands and the feet. Keep pressing the hips up. Keep sending the heels back. Keep pressing down into the earth. Maybe you bend the knees a little bit to get a nice longer spine. Remember, you're creating space to create more clarity for decisiveness, to invite in more self-confidence, to make clear, concise decisions. Slowly lower down onto the knees. Come into child's pose for a few breaths. Walk the hands back to the knees here for a moment. So we talked about it being a cooling, grounding practice, but I do want to invite in just two powerful activating the solar plexus poses. So first will be plank, and we'll hold that for a minute if we can. We're going to work on 30 seconds. We're going to come down, and then we're going to come in for another 30 seconds. So we're kind of splitting it up a little bit. Throughout it, if you feel that you have to come down onto the knees, please feel free to drop your knees. I'll never forget when I was in a yoga class and they were having us hold plank and push up and down so many times. And I knew I had a stress fracture in my shoulder. And the yoga teacher's like, don't come down. I was like the only one down on my knees. I'm like, oh my God, no, don't drop your knees. Keep it up. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I physically can't. You know, so it brought up frustration and anger. I was like, man, I don't want to feel this in a yoga class. So I always remembered that. And I'm like, I never want you to feel like you're gonna, like you want to, you know, I don't know, take me by my head and like, stop it. But I do want you to invite in some comfort. This isn't about pushing or forcing yourself. This is about creating inner confidence and strength from your inner voice. So if you do hear that inner voice saying, come down onto your knees, you can't do this, know why maybe it's the ego coming in. Let your intuition do the work, not your mind. So we'll come into plank, 30 seconds, drop down, and then another 30 seconds. Now we're coming into boat pose. So both very activating for the core, but again, this is your seat of self-confidence, your solar plexus. We want to keep this strong, and we want to keep our self-confidence emanating from this part of your body. So first, setting up for plank, spread the fingers wide. Knees are down here just for a moment. Now with the knees down, your knees are a little further behind your hips. Now when you come into a high plank, let's just access it just for a moment. Straighten the legs, come onto the balls of your feet. Try to bring the toes together. If not, keep the toes separated. Now shift your weight over the wrist. That will leave the wrist a little less in any kind of pain. And then slowly drop back down onto the knees for a moment. So again, if you tend to get any pain or strain in the shoulders, drop onto your knees, but still keep the length of the neck and torso, and then you'll lift up again, and then maybe drop back down. That can be even more invigorating for you. So we'll begin here. When you're ready, plank. Hold and breathe. Focus the gaze somewhere. Strength and power. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down onto the knees. Any stretch or pose that feels good for you, maybe child's pose. Now again, remind yourself that you don't want to overheat or overstimulate the nervous system. So if you felt that you were getting to that point, lower down onto the knees. But if you feel like you can do it because you have the strength here, please invite yourself, stay up as long as you can. Let your intuition take hold, leave the ego out of it. When you're ready, plank again, 30 seconds. Breathe. 15 seconds. Focus. Last breath. Lower down. Whatever you did, however long you held, if you honored the practice and had to lower down onto your knees, great job. Now slowly begin to make your way onto your buttocks. For boat pose. So same thing here. Break it up into the minute of a 30-second hold. Now boat pose, we've done this before, so you have your variations. The hands come behind you. You can stay here on the hands the whole time as you lift the knees up. This may be where we have to work today, and that is perfect. That is your practice. If you'd like to go a little further, then one arm comes out and then the other as the knees are lifted as well as the feet. And then try not to round. You see how I was here kind of rounding and hunching? Try the whole time to send your chest forward, all while keeping yourself lifted. And again, same thing. You can just use the hands and hug the knees in, or you can take the hands underneath the thighs and work here, all the while working the chest forward, spreading wide through the toes like you're going to press them into a high heel. Won't do it just yet, so if you just kind of tried it out for a moment, get yourself situated, make sure you're going to be breathing. Maybe focus your gaze somewhere in front of you. And we'll begin. Boat pose. Heart shining. Core is active. If the fingers are lifted, fingers are spread wide. Release. Send the feet wide, maybe a seated cat and cow in between. One more time, boat pose. Three, two, one, begin. Release. Still staying seated. Extend the legs straight out in front of you. Caterpillar, which is a seated forward fold with the legs straight out. So here, if you notice that there's any tugging on the back of the knees or the hamstrings, again, this isn't about alignment. So the whole time, maybe that you feel the back rounding, and that's okay. You want the upper back weight and the upper body weight to kind of do the work for you. So you're using your own body weight here. What I like to do is just have a support underneath my knees. I feel that it allows my body to relax even deeper because I won't feel a tugging on the back of the knee joint. And then slowly begin to make your way into your forward fold. Breathe. And slowly begin to gently roll your way out. Stretch and move in any way that feels good for you. Now we'll come to lie on the back for a lying down lotus. So we'll be using the blanket or towel as well, still rolled up. So this will feel really nice after all the activation of the core to really lengthen all the core muscles. So you're setting yourself up like a supported fish, rolling up the blanket or towel to a thickness that feels right for you. So that when you come down, the blanket is in the upper body, maybe just underneath the shoulder blades and the head rests. But then half full lotus is the soles of feet touching as you lie down. So lying down lotus, arms to your sides, out to the sides, or maybe up and back beyond the head. Now, if the lotus with the knees doesn't feel right for you, feel free to come into, again, your decision, lengthening the legs or keeping the knees bent. And the arms can come to any position that feels right. Maybe out wide to the sides like goddess arms, or out wide like airplane wings. You can even rest the hands on the belly if that feels better. Breathing slowly and deeply into the front part of the body. The front part of the body is what we lead with in our life. We lead with our decision making. We move forward. Maybe that's part of our intention after practice, is to move forward today with ease and confidence, with our intuition and self-assurance. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Slowly begin to maybe rock the knees from side to side if you bend the knees a little bit. And take your time to make your way up to your seat. Move gently, maybe roll to your side to press yourself up. We'll come into a seated meditation to close out our practice. So if you'd like to, again, sending a blanket, towel, or pillow underneath your seat, allowing yourself to sit up tall, either cross-legged or on the knees, or maybe even in a chair. So again, the purpose of yoga is meant to bring us to the meditative state. And I've been exploring, especially on Tuesday nights, if you feel like doing another yoga practice, it's going to be a restorative tonight. But on Tuesday nights, we've been doing yoga and meditation series. So for the first 2 weeks, we started with yoga and then ended with meditation. And then for these last 2 weeks, we did a meditation and then ended with yoga. And I got some interesting feedback from many people. I really enjoyed the yoga and then the meditation because I feel like I got all the movement out of my body, and then I can kind of sit in stillness for a few minutes, but at least it's a few minutes. So that's what we'll be doing here. And especially with yin yoga, it's meant to bring us into that more quieting state with the mind. So as we come into our seat, we'll be doing a mudra, or a hand gesture. So it's very simple mudra. For both of the hands, the index and thumbs are touching. But with your left hand, I'll do it from this way, with your left hand, turn your palm up and rest it on your left thigh. With your right hand, the palm faces down. So your the fingers are either pointing up or down. So on your left hand, the palm is up. On the right hand, your palm is down. So these are both, this is called Dhyana Mudra. They're both mudras for circulation for the heart. So you're recycling the energy of the body. But typically your left hand is your receiving hand. So this is meant to receive and release what you'd like to in this seated meditation. So if you'd like to at this moment, either closing the eyes or focusing your gaze somewhere in front of you at half mast. Focusing on the breath. As we talked about, these mudras meant for receiving and letting go. Maybe you focus at this moment to your left hand. Think about what you're meant to receive after the practice, or what you're meant to receive at this moment. And then your right hand is the letting go of what no longer serves you. Maybe there was something that you received in the practice that feels really good for you and beneficial, and something that you're ready to let go of. So we think about that at this moment. Or maybe we don't even know what that is, but we're setting the intention to receive and let go of what we're meant to. Take a deep breath in. Sigh it out. When you're ready, come to send the hands to prayer in front of the heart center. Thanking yourself for coming to practice and thanking the body for everything it did. It was perfect, and it's exactly where you need to be. May you take your yoga off the mat and into your world today. Our yoga of intuition and self-assurance. Peace. Namaste.